Hello and welcome to MNM, Mindset and Muscle. Today we are going to be hitting quads and calves. I think this is the only muscle group pairing I have yet to show you guys, and then we'll kind of rotate through them again since I do have two different workouts for each muscle group. But today is quads and calves. Excited to show you this. I love training quads. As fun as it is to get a good arm pump, every dude loves a good arm pump. There's just something about the challenge and the mental battle of quads, putting on that heavy weight, controlling it, getting a contraction, that deep burn, fighting through the pain of high repetitions, the exhaustion, wobbling out of the gym. It's just all grand. I love it. It's kind of sick and twisted, but I know a lot of you guys probably feel the same way, that struggle and overcoming of quads. So that's where we're off to. Afterwards, we're going to stop by a neighbor's house and pick some mangoes. Wife has been really looking forward to that, so the two of us are just gonna hoot around like monkeys, scrambling up the tree, throwing down some mangoes. So that's gonna be a good time. I'll try and film a little bit of that. And then it is Sunday, so after quad day on Sunday, we get our treat meal, and Sunday night is also movie night. So it's gonna be a good day. We are almost at the gym, so about to get that quad session in. Follow along with me and you will see how we do it. Quads and calves, here we go. We are going to start off with standing calf raises. So we're doing 4 sets here, pyramiding up in weight, up to a top set that's shown here that we take all the way to failure. You notice, as always, the theme on my calf exercises is control and full range of motion. These are the two most important factors when it comes to growing your calves. I started out with horrible calves, toothpicks, and I've grown them. They still need to come up, but they have come up respectively since I first started learning how to train them correctly. So nice and controlled, coming all the way up to the top. Towards the end there, you'll notice I need to use a little extra momentum. I get them up about halfway and then really flex hard to get them all the way up to the top. Slow down on the negative. Once I reach the point where I can't do any more full range of motion, I just go into a deep stretch and then do partials, just about halfway up. And this will really fry the calves out. Never do short bouncy repetitions though. All that's going to do is fatigue your Achilles tendon and take tension off of the calves. That's the biggest mistake I see with calf training. Same thing here when we moved over to the leg press calf raises. We did 3 sets here. We started with 2 just straight working sets, and then the final set was a drop set. So nice and slow and controlled on the negative, driving up, imagining that I'm pushing the platform away from myself, coming all the way up on tiptoes, getting that full contraction, and then nice and controlled on the way back down. This is key. Do not bounce your reps. Do not go fast. Even towards the end, it's much better to do controlled partial repetitions than it is to start bouncing. All you're going to do is potentially strain your Achilles tendon and take all of the tension off of the calves. Another trick that helps with full range of motion and getting that stretch is when you're at the bottom of every repetition, imagine that you're flexing your shins. This is your tibialis. So when you come to the bottom, try and pull your toes up like you're trying to touch the top of your foot to your shin and flex that muscle on top of your shin. This will deepen the stretch and really show that you're using a full range of motion and not just what a lot of people think is a full range of motion. So these were our 2 calf exercises. I didn't show it because, again, it would be boring, but we then moved into calf stretches. We did 1 minute stretch on one leg, then the other, came back 1 minute on the first leg, then the other, and then 2 minutes with both legs at the same time. Then we moved on to single leg extensions to get the quads firing, get a good connection there, a pump, warm up the knees. We did 1 warm-up set, 1 working set, close to failure, but this isn't really the heavy compound movement. This is more just a slight pre-exhaust, warm up, and get a good mind-muscle connection going in the quads. So just like with the calves, focusing on controlling the negative, come up, squeeze and pause at the top of each repetition. This is another thing I see a lot of people do on the leg extension, where they get into the reps and from the very start, they'll be going so fast that they don't have a chance to really get a contraction. They're just kind of slinging the weight up and then allowing gravity to bring them back down to the start. This may look intense, this may cause a nice burn in the legs, but it's not really contracting and stimulating the muscle to its fullest. So that's fine towards the end when you're completely burnt out, but you should be able to get at least your 10 to 12 or so repetitions with a full range of motion to start. I like doing these one leg at a time as it really allows you to isolate and focus on the quad. Whereas if you're doing both legs together, it can be a little bit hard to focus as when you're doing one side at a time. I feel this really has helped me build that mind to muscle connection and contraction in the quads. Same thing on the other side, nice and controlled, getting that pause at the top. This was a good piece of advice I learned from Dorian Yates, I believe, where he said, if you aren't able to pause at any point in the range of motion, if somebody had a pause button on the remote and they clicked it, wherever you are in the range of motion, you should be able to pause and hold that weight there. And if you can't, that means that the weight you're using is not a controllable weight. You're not actually able to control it with the muscle that you're looking to target. So if somebody paused when I'm in the middle range of motion, I should be able to stop and hold it there for a few seconds. At the top, I should be able to stop and hold it. At the bottom, I should be able to stop and hold it. Now, as I get close to failure, this is where you need to channel that aggression, pump out a few repetitions at the end, and reach failure. That's when it changes a little bit. But those first 8 to 10, 8 to 12 reps, all the way control the entire time. So that was leg extensions. We then moved on to our compound movements. The first one was belt squat. We did 2 warm-up sets and then 3 working sets, where we pyramided down in weight but up in repetitions. So the first set, we were aiming for 12 to 15 repetitions. We did about 500 pounds here. I really like this belt squat machine as it allows me to focus on flexing the quads throughout the full range of motion, keeps my back out of the movement as opposed to doing a barbell squat on the back, and allows me to keep my butt out of the movement a little better as well. I'm able to focus on flexing the quads stronger. You can also pause at the top without having to stabilize the weight while you're trying to catch your breath for a few extra reps. Front squats feel really good to me on my legs, but again, that breathing and having the bar crushing on your shoulders is a limiting factor. So the hack squat machine, any sort of pendulum squat machine, and the belt squat have been absolute game changers for me. And feeling my legs, being able to safely go completely to failure, using a full range of motion, and not having my lower back or butt come in and be a limiting or fatiguing factor. So that first set, we got 12 reps with, I believe, including the weight of the machine, was about 500 pounds. Then we dropped it down to 415, somewhere around there. Thank you, by the way, to Robert and his Custom Closets commercial that came on and really ticked me off. It's like a 5-minute long commercial that came on a few times during the workout, and I was not about to pause and skip that workout. So I just chucked the headphones and used that aggression to get through the set. But that was annoying, but we had a great set anyway. We got, I believe, 17 repetitions on the second set. Our goal was 15 to 20. So same exact thing. These higher repetitions are going to completely tax the muscle, the slow twitch fibers as well, since you are doing the higher repetitions, and it is going to test your endurance. So I highly recommend, even if you're on a bulk, even if you're trying to gain mass, as I'm just starting that mass gaining phase, it is important to still do some form of cardio and make sure that you're keeping your endurance up. Because if endurance becomes a limiting factor, you're not able to truly train to failure and get the maximal stimulation. Our final set was 325, and the goal was 20 to 25 repetitions. So 12 to 15 on the first set, 15 to 20 on the second, and then 20 to 25, pyramiding down in weight, going close to or to failure on every single set. Rest pause as much as you need to get there, but make sure you get that rep range Make sure you're progressively overloading from last time. I went up 50 pounds on each set from the last workout I did. So brutal, but very effective. We're making progress. We moved from the belt squat to our second compound movement, which was the single-legged leg press. We did a warm-up set and then built up to heavy set, aiming for 30 repetitions to failure. So I definitely had to rest pause a few times on these to get all the way through the set. By the last rep, you should barely be able to get the weight up, if at all. So the nice thing about the leg press is it does allow you to fail safely when you set the catches. If you watch my range of motion here, this is a good tip. Go down as far as you can where you still feel tension on the quads, but where your butt doesn't come off the pad at all. You don't want tension to switch on to your glutes unless that is the targeted muscle, which for me, it is not. I'm trying to keep tension on the quads. So I'm using a full range of motion for my quads. Anything deeper, I start to feel my glutes activate. Anything less than that, I'm not getting the full benefit on my quads. So nice and slow, nice and controlled. I'm not doing short, choppy, fast repetitions. I'm trying to focus on feeling a contraction both on the negative portion and the positive of every single rep. So that was the single leg presses. After that, we moved on to sissy squats for the final exercise. After we do a little leg check here in the mirror with different contrasts. So legs have always been a little bit behind my upper body, but they are coming up nicely here on this new plan. Since I have longer legs, it takes a little while to fill out, but I am very pleased with the progress and know I'm going to make tremendous amounts of progress over the next year leading into the competition. So we finished off with the sissy squats. We did 2 sets to absolute and complete failure. We reached 20 repetitions, which means we're going to add weight starting next time and just keep going from there. Every time we reach 20 reps, we go up in weight. So that was it for quads.
That was quads and calves. Fantastic workout as always. I absolutely love the challenge of legs. I know I keep saying that, but really you have to embrace it. If your goal is aesthetics, if your goal is bodybuilding, if your goal is whatever when it comes to weightlifting, you got to have some legs. You got to have that foundation to make everything come together, make sense, and really complete your art form. So you just have to learn to embrace the challenge of it, go to war, go to battle each and every time, and learn to love it. I used to hate legs. I would push myself through it, but when you really learn to embrace that pain, you learn to love it, something just changes, something clicks, and it's addicting. It's wonderful. So anyway, enough about that. Let's get to some of your questions. Who is the best bodybuilder of all time? The greatest bodybuilder of all time? First of all, I would love to see your answer, your response to this. So please comment down below what your response is. I would love to get a feel for what you think. Now, my answer is not necessarily going to be who I think the greatest physique is of all time, but I've got to go with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the greatest bodybuilder of all time because he is what brought bodybuilding to a front and center stage. It went from like 12 guys in a Gold's Gym. That was the fitness industry. Of course, for those of you who know bodybuilding history, Joe Weider and all those people had a huge role to play as far as bringing bodybuilding more to the public as well. But Arnold Schwarzenegger was really the guy who then took his physique into acting roles, was the governor. He was so influential and so charismatic that he made people want to be bodybuilders and want to work out and want to be fit. And he, for a long time, was what people recognized with bodybuilding. You heard the name Arnold Schwarzenegger, people were like, okay, bodybuilder, big biceps, big chest, all of that. So there's amazing Mr. Olympias, Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, so many amazing physiques, so many who didn't win Mr. Olympias, Flex Wheeler, Bob Paris, all these amazing physiques out there. But the greatest bodybuilder of all time, simply for what he accomplished, has got to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Absolute legend. I figured I would use this as the other question I answered today, since today is treat meal day for me, how I would go about structuring a treat meal. So again, this depends on your diet. This depends on how much muscle mass you carry, how intensely you're training, whether you're pre-contest or off-season, whatever your coach has you do, depending on how the calories line up. But for me personally, a very simple, basic way to structure a treat meal. Let's say you're not super close to a competition, your diet is on point the rest of the week. I like to structure my treat meal with some sort of appetizer type food. So this may be chicken wings, this may be fries, this may be fruit, whatever you're craving, chicken nuggets, whatever you're craving in that aspect. Some sort of entree. This could be a burger, this could be sushi, this could be fried chicken, again, whatever you're craving at the time. And then some sort of side, such as fries, that's usually my go-to, and then some form of dessert. Now, I don't like to go too crazy on the dessert because I feel a lot of sugar kind of makes me feel lethargic and bloats me a little bit, which can affect my workout the next day. So, for example, a go-to treat meal for me right now, and I'll show you a little bit of this as we go along, is going to be chicken wings. I'm going to do orange chicken as an appetizer, a few pieces there. Then we're going to have 2 burgers as the entree, side of fries and fresh fruit, and then we'll wrap up with a dessert of some warm lemon poppy seed blueberry bread that I made from home, or homemade. And the way I make it, it has a lot less fat. So we take advantage of those carbs for the glycogen restoration and the carb up with the refeed without going too crazy on the fat. So I absolutely love lemon poppy seed and blueberry muffins and blueberry bread. So it's going to be a fantastic meal. I'll show you exactly what that looks like. That's going to do it for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love sharing this journey with you, and I'm so excited for the progress I've already made and the progress that is to come. It's about to get crazy. So as always, let me know if you have any questions or video topics you would like to see in the future. Let me know in the comment section down below. And until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.